What's going on, everybody? Tucker Bagley alongside Eliot Shorr-Parks live from Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, where the Eagles and Chargers put together, maybe a half that we've seen from the Eagles, but a really sloppy first 30 minutes of football. 6 total turnovers, 3 of them coming on one play. Jalen Hurts, first player in NFL history with 2 turnovers on one play. I mean, just a pretty crazy sequence there midway through the half. But the Eagles get a chance at the end of the first half there. Dory Jackson picks off Justin Herbert after good pressure from Jalen Phillips. The Eagles have a chance after a penalty to put points on the board to make this a one-point game. Jake Elliott misses the field goal, so it's 10-6 at the half. Elliott, what's your first impression so far, what you've seen from the Eagles through the first 30 minutes?
Yeah, so I think the most disappointing thing about that half is we give them, and maybe me starting with me, but a lot of people give them a lot of chances this year to come out and prove us wrong, right? Like they have 10 days. I'm saying they're the best team in the NFC. I'm saying they still have a chance at the Super Bowl. Let's see them come out. And this is how they come out. And they look exactly the same. I mean, you hear me on the pod throughout the week with James, like try to remind myself that this is who they are and that when you're not watching them, they're easy to talk themselves into. And then you watch them play and you see why they have played such poor football all year. And let's not include the defense in any of this because the defense is playing outstanding. The defense
Outside
is
of one
forcing
play.
turnovers. Outside of the one play, which to be fair, like the plays they've given up are mostly just Herbert plays. Like Herbert has been special. Early on he makes that play on third down that Jalen didn't make. So let's just get right into Jalen. You can change the play caller. You can have Nick talk more during offensive meetings. You can try different things. If Jalen's going to keep playing this way, it does not matter. The offense has looked like this in the passing game for almost 2 full years now. They've had different coordinators. They've had different guys on the offensive line. They've had like all types of things. The key constant is Jalen. Now, Jalen is playing poorly right now to a point that he doesn't normally play to. Like that pass, the interception over the middle is uncharacteristic for him. He does throw interceptions occasionally, but when he does, they very rarely are thrown right to the guy. So that was a really poor play. But outside of that, what's so surprising to me right now about Jalen is he looks rattled. Like I very rarely see Jalen look rattled. Very rarely does Jalen let the game spiral on him. Jalen let that half spiral on him. What do you have? 3 turnovers. I know 2 were on one play, but 3 turnovers in 3 plays. I mean, he's like, I don't want to hear anything about route concepts and hitches and like crossing routes and all. Like no offensive coordinator is coaching a good first half of football with Jalen and the way he's playing at quarterback right now. Now, the key is there's still another half, and they are only down 4 points, and the defense is playing outstanding. So this game is there to be won. It reminds me a lot, again, of the Minnesota game. If you remember Minnesota, me and you did a halftime show where it was, why are they coming out looking the same? Jalen's not playing well. And then he ended up with a perfect passer rating, which obviously is not going to happen today. But they end up winning the game, and they score a bunch of points. So they still have a half to change our minds. They still have a half for themselves. But right now, Jalen is playing so poorly. It is hard to imagine that they come out and end up, lighting the scoreboard up unless he plays way better.
Yeah, I mean, I think the beginning of the game, they kind of reminded everybody, if you spent the last 9 days, maybe hopeful that they change things, they remind everybody why they're kind of in this predicament and why people feel the way they do, right? The offense comes out, they have some penalties, they struggle to build off, a good third and long conversion to Dallas Goedert, and then they have to punt, and then the defense gives up the long play, and immediately down 7-0, and kind of the theme of this team in recent weeks when these losses have occurred is it's kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They look great. And that final drive where they had to settle for 3 points after having first and goal at the 2, I think it's really indicative of what they've done recently, right? Like they have a great drive. They move the ball. They get into a position where, up until recently, you would have said tush push it 2, 3, 4 times if you had to.
Let's hold there really quick for a second. I think the problem is execution. You have to tush push it there. Now, I'm sure there's reasons they don't. Maybe because Dickerson's not in. They don't feel like they've gotten good push on the tush push recently. I know Jalen's turned over on the tush push. But first and goal at the 2, to end up, I know a penalty, and Jalen actually does make a good play on the touchdown. It gets negated because of the penalty, but that has to be tush push territory. Like, what's the point of having a backup offensive lineman if you can't run the tush push with him in the game? Like, you have to tush push there, or just run it up the middle or something. Like with how poorly Jalen is executing right now, to do anything but just run that up the middle. And by the way, Jalen doesn't seem very interested in running the ball to me. Like when he had that one design quarterback run, I know someone gets in the backfield immediately and he kind of sidesteps him. But after that, he basically looked like he gave up on the play. He had a play in the first half where it looked like he had room to run. Didn't seem like he was committed to running. Now, I normally like when quarterbacks keep their eyes down the field, so I can't crush him for that one. But I do think like he doesn't seem interested in running the ball. So for all of the running more with Jalen, he doesn't really seem like he wants to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they just look like the same team, and I think the idea that they didn't use the tush push and they're almost afraid to pull it out of their back pocket now. What's the identity of this offense anymore, right? Like,
Yeah,
if your
agreed.
whole identity really since 2023 was, if we struggle at times, at least we'll dominate in short yardage and we can pick up extra first downs and convert third downs and goal to go situations to kind of win in the margins. If you're not doing that and your quarterback is a passer rating under 30 for the first half, I don't really know where the success is coming from. Now, Saquon Barkley has kind of looked like himself for the first time in a while. He's broken off a few decent runs, but offensively right now, I mean, this is probably a race to 20 points based on how the defense is played. You need to find 2 touchdowns in the second half, and I don't know where they're coming from unless the defense is able to force some more turnovers.
Well, the other key play in this first half that we haven't talked about yet, but I think is a huge play, is the missed attempt to AJ Brown on the second play of the game. Like, look, I don't think it was the best throw. I think Jalen once again did that thing where he throws it deep. He feels like he has him, and he just kind of like lofts it up. Like, it looked like the mechanics. Not that I'm some QB mechanic expert, but to me, it looked like he just kind of like flipped it up. But regardless, it hits AJ in the hands. Like, yes, he has to extend his arms, but it hits AJ in the hands. You have to make that catch. Like, you absolutely have to make that catch. And I'm not saying it changes the whole half, but imagine how different things are if the second play of the game, you get a huge chunk play to AJ. You're inside like the opposing team's 40. Instead, right, you end up, I think, punting it away on the first possession. The Chargers score, you're down 7-0, and it all just kind of collapses. Like, AJ has to make that play. Like, if you're going to be, and I don't even fault him for complaining about I'm not getting the ball this year, but like what it does is if you're going to put yourself out there saying you want the ball more, when the ball comes your way, you have to make the most of those plays. And he'll tell you that. Like, he has to make that catch. But for him not to do it, like Jalen's why the offense is struggling. But if you just look down like across the board, AJ drops a pass that honestly could have been a touchdown if he catches it, but at the very least is a huge play. He whiffs on a block on a Devontae thing. Mylotta is not having a good game so far. Like, the great players are just not playing great. And that starts with Jalen. But AJ had such a chance to be a tone setter for that game, and he just blew it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. You kind of look at the box score and what we've seen in the first half so far. If they just took care of the football, things I think would look a lot differently. Like, they're
Agreed.
dominating on the stat sheet. They have 11 first downs to Los Angeles' 5. They're outgaining them by 50 yards. Time of possession, they're beating them by nearly 7 minutes. I mean, if they took care of the football, if they made fewer mistakes, which is something we've been harping on for weeks now, this would be a completely different ball game. But once again, they've shot themselves in the foot a number of times to where they're now behind, and you just kind of wonder where this is going to head because, I don't know, after 4 or 5 weeks of saying maybe they'll figure it out at halftime, maybe not, because they don't usually.
Now, there was the Vikings game for what it's
There
worth.
was.
Like, now, here, let me just say this too before we wrap this up. I see a lot online, and what's interesting is it's national as well about like Tanner needs to go in, Tanner McKee, right? Here's the thing about the Tanner McKee discussion. Do I think the offense would get a boost, and I think would be better if Tanner got in there right now? Yeah, Jalen's playing awful, but you cannot bench Jalen Hurts. You can't do it, and they should not do it. It is like other players are playing poorly as well. Now, Jalen is the most impactful, and he is playing the worst, but I would not put in Tanner McKee. I don't think Nick will do it. It would be wild if he did, but like you're like a national stage tonight, Jalen's really struggling, and you're seeing a lot of Tanner should go in. I would not put Tanner McKee. You can't burn that bridge. It's not worth it at this point.
No, I mean, that's a franchise-altering decision, right? That's not a game or a season. That's a franchise-altering decision. Think about how terrible Carson Wentz had to be for months before they let Jalen Hurts touch the field and his resume.
And Jalen already has one of the most famous benchings of all time.
Yeah, that's true. He
So
might have a
there's
little
that as well.
PTSD from that
Right.
as well. So that'll do it for Eliot and myself. Eliot and James will be back immediately after the game to talk about hopefully an Eagles comeback win, and maybe Jalen Hurts puts up a perfect passer rating in the second half and we burn this